Hello and welcome back to SJ Cartier Limited Convos. And today I'm going to ask the question, can we trust anybody, any one of us, to run the country? Because just like with a lot of these marches now and waving of the England flag, trying to say that we want our country back, and then I think we're really got problems with how the country is run and controlled. That is the concern with the normal, regular people of England, regardless of whatever stature they believe they are or they aren't. They feel we don't have much pull when it comes to how our country is run. So the next question, the question that I'm going to answer, I'm going to answer that question, but I'm going to ask me, which I done the other day with my partner, and I'm going to ask you, the viewers, the ones marching, the ones not marching, the ones born here, the ones that have adopted this country now because we had to move, or we have moved here and then had family that have moved here and born here now as English, regardless of whether our parents were asylum seekers or not. And the question I'm asking is, can we trust ourselves? Can we trust ourselves to run the country? Like for me, even I laughed at it and I thought, could I run the country? Could I make all the decisions for everybody that suits everybody in this country? Am I capable of that? And I thought, possibly not, because there's certain things within me in how I've been raised and my likes and dislikes that would change what I focus on. So just like politicians, one politician may be focusing on healthcare, one politician may focus on transport, one politician may focus on immigration. And when these three different politicians are focused on each one of those things and that is their main priority, the other two would be left under the way. They get forgotten about. So knowing myself and what I feel is wrong with the country at the moment, I'd be aiming for what I believe the problems are. That doesn't mean that everybody, my neighbour to the left thinks the same problems as me, or the neighbour to my right thinks the same problems as me. That just means these are the problems that me, as the leader, believes I need to handle. So I thought I couldn't even trust myself. Then I thought, even before that, I thought about trusting myself. I thought, if I can't trust myself, who can I trust in this world? And it's quite funny to think, and I'm thinking, I don't think I could trust anybody to run this country. Anybody. Another reason, if you've watched the my reasons why I don't vote, you'll understand why. And I'm thinking, if I can't trust myself, and there's no one personally, friends or family, that I could believe that I could trust to run this country and make the right decisions, who can we trust to run this country? And then I thought about, okay, then, how honest would these people be that are running the country? And then I started considering little things, for instance, like running a business. I've seen since I've started a business that a lot of businesses will lie to promote themselves to make more money. And whether they mean to or they don't, it's part of their nature now because they are relied on. And instead of telling the truth, they feel they have to go around the truth and lie. So not only could you trust yourself, could you trust a friend or a family, forget an associate, forget someone you've never met that you know nothing about, the people we know about, the people we've grown with, the people that are blood, do you think they would be honest in these roles or would they lie to protect what they think they're protecting us? And some of these thoughts also come while I was watching the new Netflix series, Hostage. And at the beginning of the film, the politician, Saran Jones, she promises that she would never lie to her people. And even the French woman, she promised she would never lie to her people. And in the end, they realized they couldn't help but lie and cover up what's really going on with the country, what's really going on back doors, what's really going on in those rooms that regular people like me cannot enter, whether that be the House of Parliament. Can we just go in and watch the House of Parliament? We can go into a court case and watch a court case, but why can't we go into the House of Parliament as public and sit down? So I watched that and I thought, just like this Netflix series, a lot of politicians, whether they mean to or they don't, for the right or wrong reasons, they're going to lie. Because even little small people that are saying the government aren't running the country right, they're lying in their lives. So who said we should trust what you're saying? Just like these refugees. I had someone in one of my recent videos. If you have a look, I've done 3 videos about why people are waving the flag, and really it's not to show British pride, it's actually to show their inclined racism that they've held within themselves for a very long time, and how they feel that they want a certain type of England, and if it's not a white Christian English background, they take you as a refugee and asylum seeker, and that same flag is representing an asylum seeker because we were adopted. So it made me quite laugh, to be extremely honest, to think that these people are all marching, and I would not trust none of them to run our country and make decisions, because they're lying even just for this. Because I'm seeing, basically what I saw in the comment that really annoyed me as a Muslim myself was someone coming there and say, so how would you feel that some of these Muslim people are coming over to this country, and because their women have to dress in a certain modest way, that's what they're influencing onto our kids and our women over here? So I laughed at it in 2 different ways. I'm laughing at it as a Muslim, thinking, wait a minute. As a Muslim, I understand male and females are supposed to dress in a modest way, but I also understand that it's not on one person to tell another person how they should dress, whether it's too revealing or it's not revealing. It's on that person to make a judgment for themselves. Also, when we are covering up certain parts, or the women are supposed to cover up certain parts, when you overstand it, they are supposed to cover up the parts to themselves that they feel may be alluring to other males. Usually the figure of a female can attract a male. That's why most women, regardless whether you're slim, big, thick, whatever you are, you need to hide your shape, because there are men out there that will like a slimmers, that will like a tickers, and will like a big woman. So the covering of the figure is like almost essential, but that's not something for a man to tell his woman. That's something the woman is supposed to take on for herself, for her own faith. So if she is not Muslim, for example, it can't be told to her anyway, because she doesn't have to live by the rules of Islam. She doesn't have to follow the Sunnah. She is not Muslim. So any Muslim that is trying to force Islamic traits onto a non-Muslim or even a Muslim, we know that is wrong. That can actually be seen as haram, not encouraging, not advising, but forcing. That's the point. The comment made out that these people are actually forcing people to dress like this. And even we're in the Western, over in Islamic countries, it's not Islamic to force that upon people, even in an Islamic country. We understand it's an Islamic country, and whoever's in power wants it to be Sunnah, but it is not for them to put conditions on that. That is just for them to show people how to become better Muslims. And within those people's hearts, they should feel like that anyway. Then the second point of what I laughed at was, so wait a minute, if I am walking down the beach, let's say Bournemouth, for example, and I see a young girl running around in a bikini, and I'm thinking, that's weird. Why you've got your little kid, because this is what I feel, honestly. How have you got your little kid running around in a bikini and there's lots of adults around? But then you also have to recognise it's within the person who is looking. So for me, I find it disgusting. But then there's people out there that may not find that disgusting. And that's the whole reason women are to dress modest, because it stops the men that are inclined to that type of thing to feel that is theirs, or they can approach this trying to make it theirs. So, yes, I'm Muslim. Yes, I understand the modest. Yes, I understand no person should force how another person should be. But also I understand, as a person, I don't think it's nice to see skin all over the place. Anyway, because in my times, if I saw skin all over the place, regardless of whether they were easy to get or they were hard to get, that is my assumption because of the way I see it. I may be right, I may be wrong. Until you approach, you never find out. But the point is, what could that bring? Should we over sexualize our women just to be opposite to Islam? It's just a little question. And what would be your priority if you did come into power? If you were the MP, what would you focus on? Because honestly, what would I focus on? Let me even ask myself this question now. What would I think I would want to focus on right now? I think I would like to focus on all the empty shops and properties and focus on making them into houses. I think I would like to focus on the transport being too expensive for normal, regular people, whether they're going to work or kids going to school, or they'll just want to travel the country. That is ours, we say. As English, we say the country is ours. So every part of this land, we should be able to visit with no restrictions. Because it was something that made me laugh even growing up. Africa, I was told by an African, because as I say, I speak to cultures and people from different cultures of different races. I am not secluded to black, English, British, Jamaicans. I talk to Asians, I talk to white, I talk to mixed race, I talk to Chinese, I talk to Polish, I talk to Slovakians, I talk to Romanians, I talk to all variety of people from different cultures. And when you talk to people from different cultures, you actually learn a lot, and then you actually look at the life you've been grown up in. So I'm going to give you a point. In Africa, back in the day, however long it was, you were able to walk from one part of Africa at the top all the way to the bottom. You could walk from one side of the continent all the way to the other side of the continent. You're able to walk if you wanted to, and visit all these places. But now there's restrictions, there's lines that you have to show passports, there's all these type of things that stop people from being able to travel the whole continent of Africa. So if we take that into consideration of how big Africa is, and consider that that's actually quite crazy that even the UK, we can't just walk from one place to another. Do you get that? There's no transport to say, yeah, we'll take you from here to here because you pay for the transport. It comes from taxes and a lot of things that pay for the wages and pay for the growing of this transport. So why are we being restricted to travel anywhere? And then that's where I understand the point of some people aren't being restricted to enter the country, but we are restricted where we can go. But then that's all down to the people in power and what they've put in place before and what the people in power now focus on. because that could just be left on the wayside because they're focusing on everything else. And then this is where it also comes to as well, I say, how strong do you need to be to actually be leading the country? How strong do you need to be? You have to be very strong. You can't be a follower. You can't be a sheep. And something I think with a lot of our politicians right now, they're followers and sheep. They don't have their own minds. They don't think free. They think what social media, what the newspapers, what the people may be talking about. And then when we think about it, back in the day, before our times, before our parents' times, before our great-great-parents' times, the people in power, they cared for their people, but they did not listen to their people. They took controllership. They took ownership of the country and took pride in bringing that country to where they believed it needed to be, regardless of what the other people were saying. And I think that's probably the best route that I think a lot of these politicians can't take, an open eye on the situation. It's the same way I think with all these marches to these refugee camps. They can't think for themselves. They're just following what their neighbour says, what their friend says, what a family member says, what their colleague says, and says, yeah, I'm down for this. They haven't actually thought about what they're going to do. They haven't thought about what they're even going to say when they get there. They're just following what's being said. So I see a lot of sheep out there, to be extremely honest. A lot of sheep. A lot of sheep. I'm not saying everybody's sheep. I'm saying a lot of sheep. And that is a problem with the country. Another reason why I think it's hard to do this job, and another reason why I'm asking, can we trust anyone to run the country? Because how strong are we anyway? We all seem to do things to feel accepted, whether we see it or we don't. Even me, I'm doing my YouTube channel because I felt certain parts of me was not being accepted. So I thought the best way to make it known is to bring it with my mouth and my face direct. Because as I said in my last video, some people are very easy at typing and trying to lead a script from the way they type and insinuate things and try and be very smart in how they word things. Something where in a conversation you can't get misled with. I even laugh at myself. I've got quite good punctuation, to be extremely honest. But when it comes to responding to people on social media, my punctuation goes out the wall. Where some people actually take as much time as possible to make sure everything sounds correct. I'm just typing freestyle, just like the videos. I don't cut nothing. I don't paste nothing. I just come in here and I talk about what I've got to talk to you, the viewers, and that's it. That's all I do. There's no cutting. There's no pasting. There's no trying to make this sound better for me. There's no overdressing, trying to look like I'm somebody special. I'm just in my house. I don't need to overdress, and I'm talking in my house. But there's a lot of people that do that. Whether they're putting pictures up on the back and all these things, trying to show you, oh, this is what I've got and I'm worth money or something. It's all we all want to be accepted. We're all trying to fight to be accepted. And that's the problem with politicians. You aren't strong enough because you're fighting to be accepted and keep the job and the power. So what do we do? And that's my next point, next question. Because as I said, who can we trust? I honestly think I couldn't trust nobody, not even myself, to run the country. So who can we trust? And honestly, I'll keep it very real. I think if we was to go back to, as we kind of do, but it's kind of not the same. We kind of have each county and towns and that elect who we think should be our spokesperson for that town or city or place. Yeah, that's what we currently have. But with these amount of people around the country, all these MPs that have been nominated by all these people in different counties, different cities, different towns, yeah, they really don't have the final say. And I think that is quite concerning, that the person that actually has the final say isn't the numerous people we've voted in. It's down to whoever's the leader of the people that have got the most people voted in. And then we end up with somebody that doesn't have the plans or the notions that our local council people say they want to do for their locals. And it's quite funny I even say this now, because it's something I'm gonna bring it to the world now, what I've brought to a lot of people and I've said many times. I honestly think if we as England decided to run the country for ourselves as people, we'd be surprised how better off we'd be, because we could manage and handle all the immediate problems in our community before we try and handle the world, the country issues. And even when we think of it, we have to understand this, yeah. And this is the point I always make to people. If we look on our street now, I bet you we have a builder who can build houses. Yeah. I bet you we have an electrician that can do electrics. I bet you we have people that can transport people via taxi to wherever they need to be. We have bakers, we have cooks, we have farmers, we have small businesses like me that have variety of things. So if we actually looked on our street, everything we really need, we could find in our local community. But why don't we find this in our local community? Why don't we build up our community instead of relying on one person in power who has other people working underneath them? How are we not able to come together? We can come together and march to bloody people's asylum houses and all of this, but we can't come together to make our actual local vicinity better with in all rights. Because we all talk about money and all of that. We all talk about jobs. Well, there's someone across the road from you that is actually after a job, and across the road from you, you are the person that could actually give them a job. We're talking about, oh, we want we want our farmers' food, farmers to stop being closed down their farms because they're not making enough money. But then all those local people, do you actually go to that farm and buy this local produce yourself, or do you go to Tesco, Asda's and all these other supermarkets? Do we actually support the independent shops more than we support the government-based places? And when we understand that, you know what, on our street, we could actually have a little community and our community could become strong as one, regardless of who's on there. They could be asylum seekers, they could be British born, they could be English born. It doesn't matter, because even these people that come as asylum seekers, they have skills. Everybody has a skill. Everybody can help somebody in some way. Everybody. So why don't we do that as people, help each other in our local community? Why should we put someone in power that has their own mindset that we ultimately realise we can't trust? And the reason we can't trust the one in power, because anyone in power is thinking for them and their people. And this is where I say as well, where if we were able to communicate on our street with what everybody does and how we can help each other, we'd be very surprised at how much culture we find there as well, which also brings familiarity to the people of our street. For example, for me, I could look on my street now and I don't believe anybody on my street actually knows me at all. Like, at all. They don't know me. And why is that? I don't know them. Let's flip it on the flip side. I don't know them. I have my presumptions. I've seen a lot. I've heard a lot. I kind of know a little bit, but I still don't know them personally. I can only know them by my judgments from afar. And I could help them. They could need something on my website right now and they could just cross the road and buy it. Buy it for cheaper than they was going to buy online because there's shipping, there's packaging. But then us as people, we don't realise that. We'll come together and say we want to make our country whole again, but we're coming together and we're not going for the right people who actually have the control. We're going for the weak people. It's just a thought. So who can we trust? And on the back of what I'm saying with how we can actually have everything ourselves, like we can build our own houses, we can grow our own food, we can have a small business that actually buys clothes and variety of things that we could buy from them. They buy brand new, they can buy pre-owned. We have it all. We have it all. But not only that, I'm thinking, if we look at the politician and the MPs in control, yeah, where do they come from? And when we think about where they come from, do they relate to most of the people looking at them? So as I've been trying, which is annoying me with all this flag and refugee stuff, is a lot of people are forgetting England isn't white English Christian no more. Not majority anyway. Because even a majority of the white English people are not Christian anyway, funnily enough. They don't have no faith, funnily enough. Some do, some don't. So when we're thinking of what people are marching and asking for, and then we actually look at our communities, we realise, you know what? There's a lot of people that look like me who are born here, who are claiming themselves as English because we were born here. We are born in this country. Our blood is English. Some of us, maybe our parents were refugees, we've come here, and we've never been back to our country. So I've never actually been back to Jamaica, unfortunately. Funnily enough. So for me to be told to go back to Jamaica, a place I've never been, is a bit weird. And that's the problem I have with that. But then that's also the problem in our politics. How much black, white, Asian, Chinese, Indian, because we've got Pakistani and we've got Indian. These are two different types. Have we got Jamaicans? Have we got Africans? Have we got English, Scottish, Welsh? Because that's what I think. We need one representation for each. And I might leave with a big boom here. Shouldn't we have MPs representing each culture of people in this country? Is that actually even possible? Because even if I think about it, would we ever elect a black prime minister? America had Barack Obama. Will the UK ever have a black prime minister? Like, full term? And how would the English people feel, whether they're black, white, or Asian? Would we put trust in this black person to run our country? And if you, as a white person, think you wouldn't want to trust a black man to run your country or whatever, then you have to think about it on the flip side. Should a black man trust a white person to run the country? Because you will think the black people won't think for the white people. And that's the same thing us as black people actually think. Some of these white politicians don't think for us. They're thinking for that white England. Another reason why I don't vote. So the question I'll come to you again is, who can we trust to run the country? Or should it be a joint thing amongst all of us? And we need to recognise who is English and actually has right to say what they want, because that's how they feel as an Englishman, regardless if it's different from the other Englishman next door. Who has the right? Shouldn't we all have the right? And do you really feel in power? Because as someone decided to stop the advertisement by keep commenting on my videos, pure negativity, trying to draw me out, and decided to WhatsApp me instead, thinking, oh, at least we can continue the conversation over here and we're not growing his YouTube channel. Dickheads, I don't care. Sorry about the language, by the way. But honestly, do you get that? You have to be aware of what people are thinking. And who do we trust? Because just like a lot of those comments there, I've seen a lot of them were just from the same people just changing their accounts because they have multiple accounts to just spam people. And they're trying to spam their disgusting thoughts and ideologies into my team. But I'll answer everything and try to point out a dickhead. Sorry again. And you got no understanding even yourself, because I find a lot of racist people are actually stupid people. That's what I find. They come with stupid ideologies and stupid mindsets that make no sense except to them. Do you get that? So let me give you one that makes sense to everyone. Who can you trust to run this country? Could you trust your family, your friends, your mother, your father? And if you can't trust them, could you even trust yourself? Because I bet you have some inclines that you're going to forget some people. And that's what every politician does. They forget some people. They can't cater for everyone. And that's where we need strength in that, because we need politicians who are strong enough to take the lead in what they can see is wrong and make it right. And we need us as people within our own communities to make our own community right. Not white, right. Yeah, get that right. Politically, morally, all of that. You get it? So I'm going to leave this one here on the back of the last few videos and ask us, who would you put in control if you had a choice? And do you really trust them to do everything that's right for every people, whether black, white or Asian in this country? So yeah, thank you for joining SJ Cartier Limited Combos. And I love to see the same people that have been commenting previously who haven't subscribed. You can subscribe though if you want, because I am going to talk a lot of things, and I may talk some things about you lot. So keep an eye out. But yeah, thank you for joining SJ Cartier Limited Combos, and have a good day.